Okay, that is the most wicked looking fuzz I have ever seen.
Have you ever looked at all the gear musicians use and wonder, how does it all work? My name's Dustin, and my family and I are setting out on a quest to inspire both adult and kid musicians to create new sounds together and learn all about what it takes to produce great music. We'd like to invite you along on the journey as we explore the gear professional studios, musicians, and hobbyists use to create their art. We'll take a close-up look at the gear and ask,
what's this button do?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What's This Button Do? I am your host, Dustin, and this week we are so excited. We just got in one of the coolest fuzz pedals I've ever gotten a chance to play, and I want to share it with you today. This is the new Beetronics Abelha Fuzz. This is a monster of a completely unique new circuit and one of the coolest designs. This is one of the custom shop boxes that Beetronics do, and they're just absolutely second to none. But it looks cool, it's pretty, it's wild. None of that really matters. Let's jump over to the fuzz board so you can hear it in action and see what you think. All right, so for today's demo of the Abelha, we're gonna be using my trusty Gibson Murphy Lab Les Paul. I'm gonna keep it in the bridge pickup, and I'm gonna really show you how, I think with this fuzz in particular, you can make darker guitars like a Les Paul shine. You can make lighter guitars like a Tele or a Strat shine. There's so much versatility in this fuzz, but let's dive into it. So first of all, I want to walk over the controls with you real quick before we activate it. This looks like a really complicated fuzz, but it is not. It's really simple controls. You've got your loudness, which is your volume. You've got your buzz, which is the amount of fuzz that you're going to be applying to the signal. And then you've got this little switch in the middle that says pollen, nectar, and honey. We'll cover that in just a second. Then these two knobs down here are essentially low and high pass filters that allow you to control your highs and your lows and how much are going through to the fuzz and coming through in the signal, which basically allows you to adapt the fuzz to your pickup. So if you've got some really dark pickups like are in my Les Paul here, I can add some more treble into there to really allow the trebles to come through and tone back the muddiness of the darker tones so that you can really shine, especially if you're doing a solo or you're playing some rhythm parts where you want that rhythm to have a little bit of extra twang in it. That's really where this shines. But let's go through the modes on this so you can hear it, because like I said, there are 6 different fuzzes built into this thing, and this is an all analog fuzz pedal. So the Abelha has way more than meets the eye. Let's take a look. So I'm gonna turn it on. You're gonna hear just a little bit of noise because I've got the buzz set up a little high. I'm gonna take it back to about the middle position. I'm gonna start with everything right in the middle, and we're gonna start in pollen mode. Pollen mode is a sagged fuzz kind of sound. So this is like if you're running an old fuzz face with the battery starved on it. Kind of a gated fuzz sound. Gets really quiet when you stop playing. Good for chords, but it's really, really thick sounding, right? Now we can change that. We can add a little bit more highs here, and that will allow us to go. Versus if I have it turned down. See how that makes the highs pop out of there? And we can take the lows down a little bit. Let's bring the highs up and the lows down and watch what happens. It'll really cut through. I love that sound. Really, really cool, fun, different. Now, the nectar mode is more of a traditional fuzz kind of sound. So you're gonna hear this is a little thicker. And on chords, this sounds amazing. I love that. But again, we can control that and really adjust it. If I wash the treble all the way down, watch what happens with that same exact riff. Crazy, right? Bring the treble back up. If I max it out, Now, when was the last time you heard a fuzz that was that articulate when you were playing power chords on there? I mean, it's crazy. It's almost that gap between fuzz and distortion where you get this gnarly gain, but it's not losing anything by dialing up this treble and by dialing back the bass a little bit. You really shine and you allow those high notes to come out and have definition like no other. Now, the third mode, when we take this over into the honey mode, that's sweetening that up even more. So I'm going to take everything back. I'm going to bring the bass down just slightly to about 11 o'clock. I'm going to bring this to about 2 o'clock. And then I'm going to let you hear the nectar again. Now let's go to honey. And I'm going to bounce back to the nectar. See how that... The nectar is just a little bit more fuzzy around the edges. When you move over into honey, it sweetens it up a little bit and it takes some of the edge off of those like kind of gnarly notes. And this is really apparent when you're doing like a solo run. Let's go over to honey. See, when you're in that nectar mode, you're getting a lot more fuzz around the edges. It just has a little grindier, nastier sound to it. And that's why I love sitting in nectar. Honestly, of these three modes in the original purple setting, I love the sag mode the most. I love a good sagged fuzz, and I think that one's so much fun. And I'm going to show you a little trick with it in a few minutes. But first, I want to get into the other mode of this pedal, because this is just the first initial mode. There is also a mode called tropical mode, and tropical mode can be engaged one of two different ways. So say we're playing on here. If I hold down the foot switch when I'm in the purple mode, it's actually going to engage tropical mode, which is a louder, fuzzier, way more trebly sounding fuzz. But the secret to this pedal is you can engage that permanently if you want to. All you have to do is turn the pedal on and then quickly double tap the pedal and it moves it into tropical mode. Let's walk through all three modes in tropical mode now. I'm going to leave the buzz and the loud right in the middle, and I'm just going to keep these right where we had them. Let's listen to the sagged version. See, still a saggy fuzz, but you can hear it's way more trebly. If we bring the bass up and bring the treble down a little bit. And if I try a power chord on it, bring the treble up, bring the bass down. Almost sounds like an electrical signal, like just a shot, kind of a fuzzy sound. If any of you ever played the Game Changer plasma pedal that had the little electrical pulse of plasma going through it, this reminds me of that. It's that crackly, fuzzy sound that's just really cool, breaking on the edge of breakup. Now, by itself, yes, this sounds trebly. It sounds like too much. If you were just jamming around with this in your bedroom by itself, this mode is probably not for you. You probably want to play in purple mode. However, for recording and mixing, this trebly mode allows you to cut through the mix. So if you want your solos to stand out or you want your fuzz to stand out, that is the secret sauce here. Now watch what happens when we go into the nectar mode. I'm going to turn the volume back up on my guitar. Go into nectar mode. We'll bring these back to kind of middle ground here. Bring the bass up a little bit, watch the treble out. And then on a solo, and if we go into honey, we can clean up those edges. And we can bring up that treble even more, wash out the bass a little. And in this mode, if you bring your bass up a little, wash your treble back, but then bring that buzz up, and in nectar mode, you can just hear it's got that gnarly, crunchy gain down tone, and you can almost hear it squishing down and like starting to collapse on itself in that fuzz mode when you have that buzz cranked all the way. It is just such a beautiful, killer fuzz. But I will say, of all of them, my favorite is taking the buzz down just a little bit, staying in that Palen mode. I like to bring the treble up a little bit, bring the bass back, and keep my loudness right about there. And I usually cruise right in this area. I love that sound, and if I dial my volume back on my guitar just a little, that really starving fuzz sound, which is really cool. And in nectar mode, same thing, you can dial that back a little. Versus all the way up with my volume. So your volume knob really can make a big difference on this fuzz as well. All right, now there's one more thing I want to show you about this pedal, because this happened accidentally when I was experimenting with this, and I realized that the Abelha has another trick up its sleeve. Now, any of you who are big time fuzz fans know, typically you want to have a fuzz early on in your change, ideally plug directly into your guitar, where your guitar goes right into the fuzz and then the fuzz goes on from there. You kind of want your guitar's impedance to go directly into the fuzz. So a lot of times when you're dealing with traditional sounding fuzzes, especially old fuzz faces and stuff, if you put anything in front of them, it's just not going to work. But I was setting this up when I first got the pedal in, messing around with it, and I had it in an effects loop on my board, and I've got that set up right now. I've set it to the settings that I originally was testing out, which is we're in Palen mode with the treble right in the middle, the bass boosted just a little bit, the buzz is up to about 1 to 2 o'clock, and same thing with the loudness. Now what this sounds like by itself, I'm going to let you hear here. It's a real simple kind of gated fuzzy sound. Cool? Nothing fancy, nice, no big deal. What I figured out is I have another little pedal called the Dan Drive Bonk Machine. And this is a really weird pedal. I'll let you hear it by itself. Now you can hear the bonk machine's definitely its own beast. It's kind of weird. It's got a little bit darker tone. It almost sounds like it's back in the mix just a little bit when you're playing it, but it's really cool and it reacts really well to your volume knob. I'm going to turn the bonk back on. Right now I've got the Abelha taken out of the loop. You're not hearing it active right now. I'll bring it into the loop in just a second. But if I play you that full volume, if I roll the guitar volume back to about 6 on my knob, hear how I'm getting kind of that starving tone that we were getting from the Abelha, right? So I thought, what would happen if we cascade a starving fuzz into a starving fuzz? And this is where the magic happens. So I'm going to roll my volume up to 6. I'm going to start with just the Dan drive on, right? So there's my Dan drive. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to turn on the Abelha. Right? Nothing crazy here in this setting.
With these settings like this is not how I would normally play it. It just sounds okay. It's nothing fancy. But here's with both of them on. Creates this crazy, weird, squashy sound. Again, back to the old. This is just the Abelha. Just the Dan drive. Both together. And if we bring the loudness up a little bit and bring our treble up, watch what happens. Now, for any of you who are effects geeks like me, you'll recognize a little bit of that crispy edge on those chunkier power chords, almost representative of an old Schulman PLL type fuzz. It gets this really cool kind of squished attack, instantly gated and brought back down, and it creates this really, really cool sound. But the neat thing is you can do that. You can cascade another gain pedal into this to create a whole new series of effects. And especially when we're talking about the 6 different fuzzes built into this, like how cool is that to be able to get just a ton of different sounds? So absolutely versatile, tons of cool sounds, but on its own, remember, just the Nectar mode alone. I mean, let's go back. I'm going to go back one more time to this because I just think it's absolutely killer. We'll turn it on here. That is just a gnarly fuzz. Just that Nectar side alone, that's worth all the money. That thing, absolutely killer. One of the best sounding fuzzes I think that Beetronics have ever done. But on top of that, I think one of my favorite fuzzes to experiment with other fuzz in front of it, just to see how it reacts and new tones that you can create with that. This is going to be weeks and weeks of experimental fun that I am so excited for. Well done, Beetronics. So what did you think? I mean, this thing is absolutely insane. When you go into that tropical mode and it activates the high pass filter to give you this just high cutting sound, I think for solos, I love the momentary mode for doing solos. I also think it will be fun. It's kind of hard to do it while we're demoing, but I think doing a stutter effect with it just by tapping it over and over and over again is going to give you some really cool effects as well. I'm looking forward to experimenting with this in some live situations just to see how well that can be used. But these little EQ filters here, I mean, this is not to be joked at. It's such a cool EQ curve with the highs and the lows. I'm so impressed with how much you can sweep it back and still have clarity, but without having that biting cut on your highs. Or if you really want to come through and give it this full-on gnarly high mode, you can. Like, wow. And let's just stop to appreciate this. This is what you get whenever you order a custom shop Beetronic. They go all out when they do their cool aging and their different colors. So what they do, for those who aren't familiar with them, anytime you buy a pedal from Beetronics, you can buy a standard version, which they'll just have a color or 2 colors picked that are the standard version you can order. But then usually once or twice a month, they'll put out a limited edition series where they may make special colored faceplates. They'll do different paintings on here, and you can even contact them. A while back, I had one made with a raven on it because raven's my favorite animal, and they made me a overhive that has a raven on it, etched in it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. We'll cover that someday too. But just what they can do with their custom shop is absolutely insane. I know it's crazy to say a custom shop for pedals, but it's honestly not that much more expensive than just buying the regular pedal, and you get something completely unique and cool and that fits your personality. And you guys know what I say. I really, truly believe that the best pedals, the best gear, the best guitars
are ones that bring you inspiration. So if you can look down at your board and be inspired by seeing these colors, the crazy patterns, everything working together at once, that's going to excite you to want to play more. And to me, that's half the battle right there. You get yourself some pedals, get yourself some gear, stuff that excites you and makes you happy. And if it doesn't work for you, if it's not sparking that joy, get rid of it. Swap it out for something else. There's too many good pedals out there. Find the things that bring you joy and play with them. Well, I know that was a lot to go through this week. Next week, we are going to be exploring the brand new Cower guitar. It's about to show up tomorrow. I'm so excited. So we'll be sharing that with you here shortly. And then we've got some crazy lineups of pedals for the rest of the month with some really cool new sounds. We just got in the new Warm Audio Ringer Bringer and their fuzz pedal, so we're going to be testing both of those later on, and the new Reeves Darlington Flyer, which might be one of the best sounding fuzzes I've ever played. It's absolutely nuts. Izzy just did a killer job on that. So we'll be exploring all of those later on this month. So please join us then. As always, I want to thank my friends at Palen Music. They have been a huge help. There's some stuff going on right now I wanted to let you guys know about. They have got a ton of really cool used gear in their inventory, and I've kind of been shopping it myself. Found a new bass that I'm really excited about. We're going to have some fun with. But if you get a chance, go check out their site and their reverb channel. I'll put a little link to the site on here. They've got some really neat stuff used up there right now. So it might be worth looking at. And I hear tell if you call them directly, they might even hook you up with some deals on it. So it might be worth trying out. And as always too, please go give me a like on my Instagram channel. We'll be playing with all these pedals, messing around with some new sounds, trying out some new details on there over the coming months. So please go give me a follow on there as well. And we'll explore some new things over there. Well, thank you so much for coming out this week. It was great seeing you all. Please leave comments down below if you have any questions, want me to try out different sounds, want me to try another pedal cascading into this or this cascading into another pedal so you can hear what it sounds like. Just hit me up. I'll be glad to do it. I'll throw it over on Instagram so that you can hear what it sounds like. Take care. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.